Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered when exactly everything started to change? Not just the wrinkles or the grey hair, but the way people treat you. Like you're fragile, like you're past your prime. Maybe you've even caught yourself believing it, thinking, well, I'm old now, this is just the way it goes. But what if I told you that some of the things we've all been told about aging, some of the things we've accepted as facts, are actually myths? And worse, some of them might be quietly stealing years from your life. You see, aging isn't the problem. Believing the wrong things about aging is. Because when you buy into these myths, you stop fighting, you stop dreaming, you stop living fully, and you deserve better than that. Today, I want to have a heart-to-heart with you about some of the most dangerous lies we've been sold about getting older. Lies that too many people over 60 have accepted as truth, without even realizing it. And more importantly, I want to show you what to believe instead. Because the truth, it's a lot more hopeful and powerful than you think. Let's start with one of the most harmful myths out there, that slowing down is just part of aging. You've probably heard it before, or maybe even said it yourself. I don't have the energy I used to, or I guess I'm just not as sharp as I was in my younger days. And sure, the body does go through changes over time, but that doesn't mean you have to accept a life of stiffness, fatigue, or brain fog. That's not aging, that's neglect. Think about it. If a car sits in the garage for too long, it doesn't just stay the same, it starts to rust. But drive it regularly, take care of it, and it'll keep running beautifully for years. Your body is no different. Slowing down isn't an automatic sentence. It's a sign that your body is asking for movement, better fuel, and maybe even a little adventure. Take a moment to consider how often you move throughout your day, not just exercise, but simple movement. Walking to the store, dancing while you're cooking, stretching when you get up. These little actions tell your body, hey, we're not done yet. You don't need to run marathons. But you do need to remind your muscles, joints, and heart that you still expect them to show up for you. And guess what? They will. Studies show that even people in their 70s and 80s who begin light strength training or walking just a few times a week see improvements in balance, mood, energy, and even memory. So no, slowing down is not inevitable, it's optional, and you don't have to choose it. Another myth that's just as dangerous, maybe even more, is the idea that loneliness is just part of growing older, that after a certain age it's normal to feel isolated. Maybe your kids live far away. Maybe your partner is no longer with you. Maybe your social circle has shrunk. And you think, well, that's just how it goes. But it doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be. We humans are wired for connection, no matter our age, and loneliness. It's not just a sad feeling. It's a health risk, just as real as high blood pressure or smoking. Chronic loneliness increases your risk of heart disease, dementia, and even early death. But here's the thing. They found that the antidote isn't necessarily having a huge social circle. It's having meaningful connections, even if it's just a few. So if you've been feeling disconnected, I want you to know that reaching out, rebuilding, is still possible, and it's never too late. Maybe you join a local gardening club, or start volunteering. Maybe you call up an old friend, or maybe it's simply chatting with your neighbor when you pass by. These small steps create a ripple. And before you know it, you're not just surviving, you're feeling seen again. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, what's the point? But every time you put yourself out there, even just a little, you're telling the world and yourself that you still matter, and you do more than you know. Now let's talk about something that might feel a little more personal. The belief that once your health starts to decline, there's no turning back, that your medications will only increase, your independence will slip away, and the best you can do is manage the decline. But that's a myth, a cruel one. And it stops so many people from making changes that could transform their lives. The truth is, your body is always trying to heal, always, even now, even at 60, 70, 80, or beyond. You can reverse chronic inflammation. You can strengthen your bones. You can improve your digestion, your sleep, your clarity of thought. You just need to give your body the right conditions. I've seen people in their 70s drop their blood pressure naturally. I've seen folks in their 80s toss out their walking cane after focusing on balance and strength training. I've seen arthritis ease, cholesterol drop, and chronic pain lessen, All because someone decided to believe they could improve instead of just manage. And I want that for you too. Whether it's eating more anti-inflammatory foods, cutting out processed sugar, drinking more water, or just getting 20 minutes of sunlight a day, these little shifts have big power. They tell your body, I'm still on your team, and your body will respond often faster than you expect. There's no expiration date on healing. The only limit is how much you're willing to believe in what's still possible. So if you've been carrying these beliefs around, thinking that slowing down is normal, that loneliness is just part of the deal, that your health is only going to get worse, I want to gently challenge you. What if those things aren't true? What if the best years of your life aren't behind you, but still waiting to be lived? Because here's the quiet truth most people don't hear enough. You are not too old, you're not too late, and you have far more power than you've been told. Now let's keep going, because there's another myth that's been hiding in plain sight, and it might just be the sneakiest one of all. The myth I'm talking about now is this quiet, creeping belief that your mind naturally gets weaker with age, that forgetfulness, confusion, and even dementia are just things you should expect after 60, 70, or 80. And while it's true that the brain changes over time, that doesn't mean it has to decline. It certainly doesn't mean you're powerless, but so many people believe it. They misplace their keys or forget a name, and instead of brushing it off like they did, in their 30s they panic. Is this it? Am I slipping? And the fear starts to take root. That fear can be just as damaging as any memory loss. Let me tell you something you might not have heard before. The brain is not a one-way street. It's more like a muscle. And like any muscle, if you stop using it, it weakens. But if you challenge it, fuel it, care for it, it grows. Yes, even now. There are seniors well into their 90s learning new languages, writing books, playing instruments they never touched before. Not because they're special or lucky, but because they never gave up on their ability to learn. They didn't buy into the myth, so if you've been feeling foggy or scattered lately, don't panic. But do listen. Your brain might just be nudging you to wake it up again. And no, you don't need to do crossword puzzles all day unless you love them. Learning something new, challenging your memory, engaging in meaningful conversations, trying new experiences, these are all brain boosters. Even walking in a new part of town, switching hands to brush your teeth, or learning a new recipe, these tiny moments send a big message to your brain. Stay awake, stay alive, and let's not forget the role of what you feed it, literally. Processed food, sugar, lack of water, poor sleep, all of these chip away at your clarity. But small changes add up fast. Add a handful of walnuts, blueberries, or leafy greens to your meals. Cut out one soda a day. Get a bit more sunlight. These are not health fads. They're brain fuel, and your mind deserves every bit of that love. Now you might be thinking, that all sounds great, but what if I'm just too set in my ways? It's too late for me to change. And there it is, the fourth myth, one of the deadliest. This quiet resignation that change is for the young, that older adults can't shift their habits or rewire their thinking. And honestly, that's the biggest lie of them all. You've already done hard things. You've survived heartbreaks, losses, jobs, raising kids, global chaos. You've adapted more than you even realize. If you've lived through decades of life, you have the strength to change. Period. Don't let age fool you into thinking you're stuck. In fact, studies now show that the brain keeps forming new connections well into your 80s and beyond. It's called neuroplasticity, and it means your brain literally changes based on what you do and think. So when you say, I'm too old to start walking every morning, your brain believes you and responds by getting weaker. But when you say, I'm starting today, even just for 5 minutes, your brain believes that too and begins to rewire itself for success. Isn't that something? You're not fixed in place. You are still becoming, still growing, still capable of becoming stronger, happier, and healthier than you were even 5 years ago. But here's the truth. No one likes to say out loud, believing these myths isn't just harmless. It actually hurts you. Not in a dramatic, overnight kind of way, but in small, quiet ways that add up. When you believe your decline is inevitable, you don't fight it. When you believe your loneliness is normal, you don't reach out. When you believe your mind is fading, you stop challenging it. And when you believe you can't change, you stop trying. But when you flip the script, even a little, you start to shift the whole picture. That's where life gets exciting again. I remember talking to a man in his 70s who told me he hadn't danced in over 20 years, said it wasn't age appropriate. But guess what? He went to a community salsa class with a friend one evening, and now he goes every week. I didn't realize how much I missed feeling alive, he said. His energy changed, his health improved, even his doctor noticed. It wasn't the salsa, really. It was the mindset. He stopped believing that the good stuff was behind him. And once he did that, the possibilities opened up. You don't have to take massive leaps, you don't have to change your life overnight, but you do have to believe in the possibility of change. That belief is what sets everything in motion. So take a moment right now as you're watching this. Ask yourself gently, have I been carrying around any of these myths? Have I accepted slowing down, or loneliness, or cognitive decline, or helplessness as just the way it is? If so, that's okay, we've all done it. The important thing is that now you know better, and when you know better, you can do better. Your next chapter is still unwritten. The pen is still in your hand, and if you're ready, we can take this journey together. Because the truth is, aging can be beautiful, vibrant, and full of life, if you're willing to let go of the stories that say otherwise. And once you let go of those old limiting beliefs, something magical starts to happen. You begin to feel a shift, not just in your thinking, but in your body, in your energy, in the way you carry yourself through the day. That heaviness you've been carrying, the silent weight of, I guess this is just how it is now, starts to lift. You begin to realize something powerful. You are not done. And that brings us to something else, something deeply personal and often overlooked. It's not exactly a myth, but it's a silent force that we need to talk about. It's the story you tell yourself every day. Because here's the truth. It doesn't matter how many inspirational books you read or how many vitamins you take, if the voice in your head is constantly whispering that you're too old, too late, or not worth the effort anymore, it'll sabotage everything. I once spoke with a woman in her late 60s who said, I used to love painting, but I stopped after my kids left home. Who would care what I create now? You could hear the sadness in her voice, like her creative spirit had just curled up and gone quiet. And that broke my heart, because the joy she once felt didn't disappear. It was just buried under a story that no longer served her, so she picked up a brush again. She told herself a new story. I paint because it makes me feel alive. That one shift led to others. She started walking more, eating better, joining a local art group. A year later, she held her first little exhibit at the community center. And the glow on her face? You couldn't buy that in any store, that's the thing. When you believe life is still worth living fully, your body responds, your spirit responds. You sleep better, you smile more, you start looking forward to tomorrow again. And no, I'm not saying you won't have aches and pains, we all do. I'm not saying every day will be easy. But ease is not the goal. Engagement is. Meaning is. Joy is. And those don't fade with age. They just get buried beneath the clutter of old myths and modern noise. You don't have to be who you were at 40. That version of you had their own challenges too. What you have now, wisdom, resilience, a deep understanding of what truly matters, that's your strength. Don't trade it for some outdated idea of what young used to mean. And if you're sitting there wondering, but what if I've already let too much time pass? Please hear me when I say this. You have not missed your chance. Time is. Not a door that slams shut. It's a path that keeps moving and you can step back onto it at any moment. There's no expiration date on change, on happiness, on a life well lived. In fact, some of the most remarkable transformations I've ever seen happened after 60. People who went back to school, who finally traveled, who found love again, who forgave themselves for old mistakes and started fresh. Not because life was perfect, but because they stopped waiting for permission to live. You don't need anyone's approval to start caring for your body. You don't need to be in a gym 6 days a week, a 15-minute stretch in the morning, a short walk after dinner, choosing to stand up and move instead of sitting for hours. That matters. That adds up. You don't need to become a genius to protect your brain. Learning something small every day, laughing with a friend, reading instead of watching mindless TV, that matters too. And you certainly don't need to be surrounded by a crowd to feel connected. Sometimes reaching out to just one person, a phone call, a shared memory, a walk around the block, is enough to break the spell of loneliness. The truth is, what shortens our lives isn't just illness or injury. It's disconnection. It's isolation. It's giving up before the story is over. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can choose a different path, even right now. You can start speaking to yourself with more kindness. You can start treating your health like the precious treasure it is. You can stop apologizing for growing older and start celebrating it. Because aging isn't a decline. It's an evolution. It's a sharpening of what truly matters. It's a narrowing of the things that drain you and a deepening of the things that fill you. Imagine waking up tomorrow and greeting the day not with dread, but with curiosity. Not with, I wonder what will go wrong, but with, I wonder what's possible today. That mindset, that's the real fountain of youth. And no, it's not always easy to believe in yourself after 60, 70, or 80, especially when the world keeps telling you to step aside. But here's the truth. The world needs your voice, your humor, your calm wisdom, your stories, your presence. You are not invisible, you are not irrelevant, you are not done. So if any part of this message has stirred something inside you, let that feeling guide your next step. Maybe it's picking up the phone to call someone you've missed. Maybe it's dusting off that guitar or journal or recipe book you packed away years ago. Maybe it's simply standing a little taller the next time you look in the mirror and reminding yourself, I'm still here, I'm still becoming. Because you are. And every day you're given is another chance to feel alive, to make a choice, to reject the myths and write your own truth. You have more power than you think. You have more life to live than you realize. And if you take even one step toward believing that today, the ripple effect can last for years to come, here's to you, to your courage, to your curiosity, and to the vibrant, meaningful, joyful years still ahead. If you've made it this far, I want you to take a deep breath. Really, right now, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, ask yourself, what have I been believing about aging that no longer serves me? Not what others told you, not what you've seen in commercials or on the news, but what you have quietly carried inside for years, maybe decades. It's time to set those beliefs down. You've heard a lot in this video. We've peeled back some pretty heavy myths. The idea that getting older means automatic decline, that our brains just stop working, that our social lives are supposed to wither, and worst of all, that we should simply accept it as the natural order of things. But you know what? None of that is written in stone. These myths are not your destiny, they're just stories, and stories can be rewritten. And now, I want to leave you with something that might just shift how you see every day from this point forward. Aging is not the enemy. Let that settle for a moment. Aging is not what's holding you back. It's not a curse, it's not punishment. In fact, aging is proof that you're still here, that life has chosen you again and again to keep going, to keep learning, to keep loving, growing, and contributing. Some cultures revere aging as a sacred journey. They don't hide it away or try to reverse it. They honor it. They treat their elders as treasures, not burdens. Wisdom isn't something to be pitied. It's something to be sought. What if you started doing the same for yourself? Instead of fighting the mirror every morning, what if you looked at your reflection and said, I've lived, I've loved, I've learned, and I'm still learning. Every line, every silver strand, it's part of your story. You've earned it. Why be ashamed of that? You see, you're not falling apart. You're unfolding. And there's still so much beauty left to discover, not out there, but within you. It's never too late to start feeling better, thinking clearer, or moving with more joy. You don't need a perfect diet or a celebrity trainer. You just need small, loving decisions, daily ones. Things like drinking water first thing in the morning, stretching before bed, laughing with someone you trust, turning off the news when it's too much and going for a walk instead, choosing connection over isolation, even when it feels vulnerable, choosing curiosity over comfort, even when your mind tells you to just stay where it's safe, because that's how it works. Life doesn't get better by accident. It gets better through small intentional acts of belief, belief that you can still change, belief that your life has purpose, belief that no matter what your age, your best days don't have to be behind you. One of the most inspiring men I ever met started lifting light weights in his garage at 73 because he was tired of feeling weak. Not only did his strength improve, but he said his mind felt sharper. He began sleeping better. He reconnected with his brother after 10 years. It wasn't about muscles, it was about momentum. One choice led to another, and his whole life changed. And I've seen the opposite too. People who were perfectly capable but gave up too soon. They believed the myth that they were too old, too late, too far gone. And you could see it in their eyes. Not sadness exactly, but a quiet surrender. A belief that the best part of life had already happened. But that doesn't have to be you. I want you to remember something very important. Your age is not your problem. Your belief about your age is. Change that, and you change everything. Start. By speaking differently to yourself. Instead of saying, I'm too old for this, try saying, I've never done this before, let's see what happens. Instead of, I guess my memory's just going, say, my brain needs a little attention today, what can I do to support it? Your words matter. They become the lens through which you see everything. And when you shift your lens, the world changes with it. And don't do it all alone. Reach out, join a class, talk to a neighbor, comment on a video like this. Let people know you're still here, that you still care, that you still want connection. There are more people than you realize who feel the exact same way, and they're just waiting for someone like you to say hello first. I know this might feel like a lot, but the good news? You don't have to change everything overnight. You just have to decide that you're not going to keep living by myths that make you feel small. That's the first step. And if no one else has told you this today, let me be the one to say it. You matter. You are not behind. You are not broken. And you are not done. There is still joy ahead. Still healing, still laughter. Still mornings where you wake up with a little more energy than you expected. Still quiet moments that take your breath away. Still reasons to be proud of the person you're becoming, not just who you used to be. So take a breath. Put your hand on your heart and just whisper to yourself, I'm ready, because you are. You've got everything it takes to live fully, right now, right here, at this exact age. Not someday, today. If this video touched you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. In the comments, what myth have you let go of today? What truth are you ready to believe instead? And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. This channel is here to support you every step of the way as you age with power, purpose, and pride. Here's to living your boldest, healthiest, happiest life at any age. You deserve it.